Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you are watching this. Welcome back to another episode from the Since I Was Young podcast for all things Heart of Midlothian news, chats, and reviews. Joining you as always is myself, Ewan Ramsey, and Alan Scrimger, and welcome back. So for today's agenda, we've got quite a lot to actually get through. We've had two games in the last 4 days. Most recently was the 1-0 defeat away to Celtic Park, but equally as much we had a 1-0 victory away at the Tony Macaroni Stadium away to Livingston just yesterday, and we're going to go through them. We're probably going to do it in the same vein as we did for the Motherwell game, where we won't go through every little single tiny detail, because let's be frank, the quality of the actual games weren't that good. So, we won't actually the bore you with, or that we'll just go through the main events of the actual games themselves, and we'll talk about any of the highlight that was the actual games themselves. And of course, we will go into next week's big fixture at Tynecastle, where Rangers come to town, and we will go through a small preview of that. And also, just to add as well, unfortunately for Alan, we won't have a news segment for this podcast, because unfortunately there isn't a segment of news to actually give you guys. So we're going to leave that out for this week, and we're just going to get cracked into the games themselves. So before we start, as always, guys, if you are a Hearts fan and if you are a fan of the Since I Was Young the podcast, please think about subscribing and also smash that like button as well. It always helps us out, of course. And as always as well, if you want to get in contact with us via our social medias as well, all at Instagram, Twitter and Facebook, it is all in the description and on screen, all at SIWY Pod. Alternatively as well, if you want to get in contact with us through our email address as well. For any sponsors out there, guys, get fucking sponsoring us, please. It is all at Since I Was Young 1874. Since I Was Young 1874 at gmail.com. There we go. Well done, Ewan. And lastly as well, if you want to get in contact with ourselves through our Twitter pages as well, you can. All the links will be in the description for myself and Alan's personal Twitter page. So, Alan, as we just said there, what a quality weekend of football. Oh my God, the best fucking games I've ever seen in my life. Absolutely not. So we're going to kick off as such to the game that was on Thursday away to Celtic Park. I'd like to actually kick off with the first question. Oh, lights out! Here we go. Sorry, boys. We're having a bit of a technical difficulty here. Geez, a wee second. Oh, yeah, cunt. I don't know what is going on. It is having a fit. Sorry, guys. We'll be back. There we go. We are back. Right. So that is that is efficient as fuck. So see,
that was
panicking at all? Nope. Panicking. Absolutely sound. So, Alan, the first question I have for you here. So, I watched. Fucking hell, I have lost my fucking marbles. Yeah, I can't. Right. So,
that's up there with a window cleaner for me.
That'll be getting snipped right on, sort of got a preview of this podcast. So we hope you enjoyed that, guys. So the question, Alan, let's get back to it. Football caps on. So I actually took the liberty to actually watch the first game that we played when we travelled to Celtic Park in the League Cup last 16, as of course we're watching the game recently as well. Just to kind of pull your mind back from what you can actually mind of that game. Do you think we actually played better in the sense that we got in about Celtic a bit more? And because, of course, with Celtic as a squad, their intensity as such, in terms of just keeping on that actual the ball itself is it is absolutely amazing. And there were large parts of that game where we were kind of chasing the actual game quite a lot. So just compared to those two games, do you think we actually played slightly better when we went to Celtic Park on Thursday?
think so. I think it's funny because we always talk about Celtic, and when we go to Glasgow in general, we seem to probably give them a bit too much respect. We don't really get in their faces as we should. And I don't. It's funny because I think, like, for me, particularly, we can go through it and talk about it, but the first half was exactly what I was expecting it to be.
Yeah.
They had the ball for a majority of it, and they moved it around incredibly well. As you say, they were cutting us open when they could, and if not for Craig Gordon and some very good defending as well, to be fair, then the game could have been out of sight at halftime.
Possibly.
But yeah, I felt like as the game wore on, we kind of got a bit more into it, and we started kind of playing a little bit further up and gave them a few problems as well. But I think it's that way, and everybody always says it, and I said it in our last episode, that I want to see us go there and have a go.
Yeah.
I want to see us go there and get stuck in and try. And then you hear, as I said as well, you hear Robbie Nielsen talking about, we're going to go there and attack. We're going to go and have a go at them.
I get you.
You're not going to get the opportunity to go to Parkhead and be the better team. Let's say that.
Yeah.
So you're kind of relying on a little bit of luck and maybe a refereeing decision to go in your favour to get something. But yeah, I was impressed with the lineup as well. Changed the system, obviously went to back four and had Haring and Devlin in the middle, which I think worked really well. I've spoken about Peter Haring before, and we've said it a few times about his kind of lack of mobility, but certainly at Parkhead and again on the weekend against Livingston, which we'll go into,
of course,
he made a massive difference in both those games.
He did.
Yeah, fair play.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Just to kind of go back to what, like you said there as well, I'll never sort of get angry about a Hearts sort of the defeat. As long as we've actually tried to sort of most sort of regularly with the Old Firm, like you said as well, I think we did put a lot of effort into the game. At the same time, we weren't kind of sitting back constantly in the sense that when we had the actual the ball itself, it wasn't a case of right, okay, left, right, and then just try and slowly sort of move up the actual park itself. As always, the Devlin was just a rabid wee dug, just sort of everywhere. Again, I do absolutely agree in the sense that I thought, for all as much as I've said my flack sometimes about him, I do absolutely agree. I thought Haring did actually quite well. Yeah, there were a few moments where he was maybe getting a bit too on to the Celtic players in the sense where it could sometimes sort of giveaways, silly fouls, at times, but you want to go to Parkhead to try and get in their faces. So from that aspect, I thought we played not too badly. Just going through the first half, and I've guessed one of the sort of major points of the start of the first half was the James and Forrest chance, which was I would like to say that at that sort of certain part of the actual game that my heart was absolutely racing, but at the same time you were kind of expecting Celtic to almost get a goal in the first half. But again, how many times do I have to keep saying Craig Gordon? He gets the most slightest of touches on that ball just to put off Forrest to hit the post. And surprisingly, would you? I wouldn't say that it was his fault, but would you say that it was Craig Gordon's error in the first place when he played that ball to Cammy Devlin and he kind of had his back goal lag sort of at the Celtic end, and he ran into a bit of trouble there. I mean, would you say that's fair to say?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it's clear that Cammy Devlin did not want the ball
No.
when he was given it. But Celtic kind of pressed very well, and they're good at that. They get players around it. So yeah, it was a bit of an error from Gordon to give Devlin the ball, but Cammy Devlin's normally very good at kind of getting it and moving it.
Yeah.
But he just got swarmed. But yeah, when Gordon saved the initial shot and he sort of fumbled it.
Yeah.
And then you see James Forrest running on it, and I'm thinking, this is a goal. This is a goal all day. But thankfully, as he said, Gordon was there again. And I actually originally, when I saw it, I didn't realise that Gordon got a touch to it.
I didn't either, yeah.
To Forrest's leg. I just thought that Forrest maybe just fumbled it and couldn't sort his feet out and hit the post. But Gordon gets a hand to it and kind of knocks it on to Forrest, and that's why it kind of doesn't go in.
It's weird, yeah, but
it was really odd. But I mean, look, it didn't go in, and that's the main thing. But
that was the main thing.
I think had it gone in, I don't really think we could have had many complaints, because in that first 10-15 minutes, they probably could have had about 2 or 3 goals at that point.
And you're absolutely spot on about that, man. And of course, Celtic from then on had quite a few sort of half the chances as well. But then came to the big talking point of the actual game itself. Now, you know me, Alan. I am not a bitter bastard in any sense of the world. But what the fuck? What the actual bleeding house roaring housery fuck? You could be Stevie fucking Wonder on that sideline, and he would have known that was offside. Come on. Take me through it, Alan, because I'll end up getting absolutely raging about it again.
Yeah, so it was actually.
Yeah.
I'm trying to compose myself as well.
Oh, I'm not.
To be fair, I said it yesterday that even before the Livingston game, I woke up in the morning and I was still fuming about Thursday night.
But, again as well, after we ranted about Kyogo, as well, and then for him to score it as well, it just made it all the worse.
It was actually quite a well worked move by Celtic. They sort of moved it across the park quite well, and we were struggling to kind of close them down every time they were moving it. It kind of happened throughout the game, to be honest. But yeah, the ball just comes in, and the Hearts line is perfect.
Yeah.
The defensive line, there's not one player that's deeper that you can say, oh, maybe he's playing him on, or maybe somebody's playing him on. Surely somebody is, but it was the line that they held was perfect, and you could see it. The cross comes in, and I think it's Suter and Halkett potentially.
Yeah,
both put their arms up, and they've almost stopped, because they're like, oh, this is offside. We're just, and I don't like to see players stopping, because I prefer, obviously, it's play to the whistle, play till the referee stops the game. But they were so sure that he was offside,
and they were right.
It's ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous. And then what I don't understand as well, Sky didn't put any lines up on the screen, didn't show any kind of. I mean, they showed a replay of it, but there was no. Certainly not at halftime anyway. There was no images shown of the offside.
I wonder why that can be. Hearts playing an old firm team, and they don't show any lines. So that is a mystery for the ages.
What do you do?
What do you do, Alan? Yeah.
What do you do? But then they were talking about it, afterwards and at halftime, and Chris Boyd was very, very certain that it was offside, and Christophe Berra wasn't really having it, but I was annoyed that was a bit Berra,
there were a few tweets doing the rounds as well, because I didn't actually know at first that he was actually a Celtic fan, if I'm right in saying.
I believe so.
Arsehole.
I mean,
sorry Christophe.
It's one of those. Look, I adored Christophe Berra when he played for Hearts the first time, and even when he came back, because when he came back, we needed him, and he did very well, and then got injured, and then Daniel Stendhal decided to just put him in the bin, and that was it. And maybe Berra's a bit bitter about that, the way that it ended. I don't know, but I was very surprised to hear how he was talking I was like,
no.
A former Hearts captain isn't really. I wouldn't expect him to be kind of as negative as he was, but
yeah,
to each their own. But
absolutely.
I mean, as frustrating as the goal was to give away the offside flag, the linesman being Stevie Wonder, as you say, it had been coming.
No.
So
I mean,
it was a controversial goal to give away, but we
yeah.
were lucky to be in the game at that point, is my point. But it shouldn't have been a goal. There's no doubt it shouldn't have been a goal, and everybody's saying it. Everybody's talking about it.
No, man. Like, of course. I mean, like you said, for all as much as we would like to rant and rave about that offside goal, let's be honest, like the goal, whether it was that one or one like sort of throughout the rest of the first half, it was the going to actually come. So like, we kind of have many complaints about that. I mean, just going sort of into the second half, what were your thoughts at that point, mate? Like, do you feel as if we had to make a change at somewhere, or do you felt as if we had the squad already there to actually try and make some sort of difference going into the second half?
I think Boyce made a huge difference. I think Ben Woodburn, and this is a topic that I'll speak more about in the Livingston game when we speak about that, but he wasn't effective because he wasn't given the chances to be. But Boyce and was it Gary Mackay-Steven that came on?
I'm pretty sure you're right, mate. I'm just seeing on it. Yes, it was.
They both came on and made a difference. It was a point of attack. It was something to hit, something, an out ball essentially, just take the pressure off. But I think we spoke about it just briefly there. I think if it's half time and it's 0-0, I'm feeling probably a bit more confident in terms of we can't be any worse than that. Let's try and play a bit more on the front foot, and we did in the second half. Which there's frustrations because, as I say, people always talk about going to Parkhead and they go, I want us to get in their faces and have a go. I want us to, try.
Of course, yeah.
But we always seem to kind of turn up in the second half. We're a bit of a second half team at the moment, which
it looks that way.
Is quite frustrating. Yeah. But yeah, we had chances in the second half. And we were actually unlucky not to get a goal.
Absolutely, mate. Because just from one of those chances from a corner, Kingsley had a decent chance, that kind of glanced through the face of goal from a header. But obviously, you might agree as well that our best chance was the one and only counter that we actually had throughout that game, and it was Barry Mackay. It was like the shot that he gave off, literally like a ball hair away, like literally. And I'm just as a side note, but he's also a player that is due a goal as well, because I think he's been one of our most important players, as well. I know we have got quite a few in the squad as well, but he kind of goes about his sort of the business in the sense that he knows exactly what he's meant to actually do, and he does it fantastically. So take us through that chance, mate, please, because I don't want to talk about it, because it is, again, it's just agonizingly frustrating, because again, it was just so close.
Oh, I know. It was Gary Mackay-Steven, wasn't it? He's running forward with the ball, and
what a shock on that one, by the way. Sorry.
Well, I was watching it. Hey, listen, he played.
He
all
did
right.
well. He did well.
He played all right.
He did well.
And he was running forward and gets to the sort of edge of the box and just kind of trips over himself. But no, he just tripped over his feet. He just didn't really realise where he was.
No,
Barry Mackay gets on the end of it, and yeah, it was a ridiculous effort. I was praying it to go in, but yeah, it wasn't to be, unfortunately. I think there was 2 Celtic defenders on the line as well, if memory serves. But
yeah, just there.
Barry Mackay is a very intelligent football player.
Definitely.
Me, I always say it about Liam Boyce as well, that I think if we have players that are on that wavelength, and their
Mm-hmm.
connection is there. You can see it because they both played at higher levels than Hearts.
Of course.
And yeah, again, this is also partially where the Ben Woodburn frustration comes in for me, but that's a whole different conversation to have.
Yeah, we'll probably go a tiny bit into that when we get into the next game. But as the game sort of went on, like, I do agree in the sense that we were kind of on the front foot for small parts of the actual game itself, but it wasn't meant to actually be. But I think, for large spells, it's probably one of the more better sort of performances we've seen when we've went to Celtic Park. So again, like, I wasn't too, annoyed about the result. Because we kind of had a preconceived sort of thought that we were going to have quite an uphill task to try and do. So again, we had a good effort, but unfortunately it wasn't meant to actually be. So is there any sort of thoughts you want to give on that game, mate?
I think as well, like, I know obviously the referees and the linesman gave that ridiculous onside that wasn't onside, but Bobby Madden,
Bobby fucking Madden, Bobby.
There was an instant that I didn't even mention. Jota pulled hamstring.
Totally forgot.
We get the ball back and he blows for a free kick. To be fair, however, he did exactly the same thing when a Hearts player went down earlier in the game. So he just didn't have a very good day.
No,
he's just not a very good referee. And
sorry,
man. No, I was just going to say that the conversation obviously turns to VAR and everybody's talking about that now. What I find quite funny, they asked Robbie Nielsen before the Livingston game, have you heard anything from the SFA? Or because I think people were kind of expecting Robbie to get punished for what he said after the game, which went along the lines of, you're in Glasgow, you're not going to get that sort of decision. And then he said something along the lines of, I'll end up in jail if I say what I really think, and all this sort of stuff.
But
now,
is he wrong though? Is he wrong? Thank you.
No, he's not. He's not. But I find it quite telling that the day after the game, all the headlines are about VAR in Scottish football, and nothing is being said about Robbie Nielsen getting punished.
Love it.
Even the chief of the refereeing, I can't remember his name now, it's gone completely out of my head, but the head of officiating.
Right.
He come out and said that the decision was incorrect. So they know the referee got it wrong. They know the linesman got it wrong, which is why they're all quiet on Robbie Nielsen not getting punished, because they're not going to.
There you go.
They know he's right. They know he was right.
Robbie, light a fire under the arses of the SFA, son, on yourself. But on that note, it'll be a nice time to kind of close that game off as we look into yesterday's game, as we are recording on a Monday. And we had a wee bit of a surprising reaction, which I was very happy about. Even though, again, for most part of the actual game itself, it was utter pish. But as we still came away with a 1-0 victory away to Livingston at the Tony Macaroni Stadium, which I think it was you that texted me, Alan. Again, it's just so hard to actually comprehend that it was our first away win since August.
It's mad, isn't it?
Absolutely August.
Mad. It's crazy.
Summertime, August. Like, my word. But aye. So since I started off the first part of the Celtic game, do you want to crack things off and to give us your thoughts on how dreadful that first half was?
I'll fire away, yeah, of course. Yeah. Obviously there was a system change again. I wasn't sure if he was going to go with a 4 or go back to 3 at the back. He went with a 3-4-3, went back to the usual formation. Had Gordon in goal, Smith, Suter, Halkett, Kingsley, Cochrane back in at left wing back as well. Devlin and McKenniff in the midfield too. Woodburn, Boyce and Mackay as the front 3. I was pleased to see McKenniff getting a chance. I thought he did all right against Celtic, to be fair. And I thought he played very well against Livingston as well, actually.
He
So
did.
I was really, really pleased to see him.
Absolutely.
The game, it's a very, very odd one because for the first sort of 10, 15 minutes, we were actually looking all right. We were passing it around. We were, we gave it up a few times possession. I think Ben Woodburn gave it away a couple of times. Cammy Devlin gave it away. So there was that Livingston press, but for the first sort of 10, 15 minutes, I thought we were actually quite good. Well, good in the sense that we were not doing anything stupid, put it that way.
Fair enough. I'll take that. I'll take that, mate.
But yeah, it was weird. It was really, really odd. And then it just seemed to flip, and Livingston a bit more on the front foot. And like I say, they were pressing higher up the pitch, nicked the ball off us a few times, and yeah, it caused us a few problems.
Absolutely. I mean, a problem that that we've now got on our hands as well was the fact that Smith was taken off as well due to an injury. I believe you said it was on his lower back. Is that right?
Yeah, they said it in the commentary, which was Laurie and Robert Borthwick on Hearts TV, because I think it was mostly caused by the artificial surface, to be honest. He kind of jarred his lower back, and Robbie confirmed after the game it was a back spasm that he had, so hopefully it's nothing too major, but precautions, take him off and make sure he's all right for the next one. But yeah, it was a blow, but then it's one of those, like, it's funny because if this was the start of the season, I'd be going, oh God, we're in trouble. Who else will we got at right back? But Taylor Moore proved to be a very, very good right back. So
there you go, man.
When I saw Michael Smith going down, I thought, okay, well, Taylor Moore will just come on and do exactly the same job. So I wasn't overly worried about that. But obviously it's a shame for Michael Smith because I like Michael Smith. I don't like. There's a lot of folk that are not that fond of him, but I like him.
No, of course, man. He's the most grumpiest man in the Hearts squad, but I love him to bits. Obviously, of course, before we talk about the chances from Livingston as well. Now, this is we talked about him a bit in the Celtic game, but I'm gonna actually give a bit of the praise first of all to Robbie. Now, we've never seen him make a decision, most notably in the first half when he knows when something is not actually working. Now, if it gets to the end of the first half, and most Hearts fans might expect a change, but sometimes it doesn't actually happen, and we're all like a bit miffed about that. But actually, I don't want to say proud, but you know what I mean. The fact that he had the stones to actually bring off Woodburn after only 30 minutes. I think we can both agree as well, throughout the Celtic and the Livingston game as well, it's just not went right for him. You feel as if you have to make a decision to actually change it straight away, then was it hats off to Robbie. But yeah, it's not went totally amazingly well for Woodburn these past sort of 2 games.
No, he's had his critics kind of since he's come up here. There was an interesting conversation online earlier on, and it was essentially, do you send Woodburn back to Liverpool in January and get somebody else? Do you know what, though? There's an interesting conversation there because I'm sure there's a recall clause in the contract in January, or it might be that we can send him back in January.
Okay.
I like Ben Woodburn, but there's just something isn't working. I don't know whether it's the pace of the game up here. I don't know whether it's the physical nature of the game up here, but he doesn't seem to be getting it. And I like Ben Woodburn. Okay. I think I think there's a very technically good football player there, but I just don't know if he's suited to where we want him to play and how we want him to play.
Okay.
We saw it against the game when we played Dundee United and absolutely hammered them. He was brilliant in that game, but he was played up front, sort of just off the winger, kind of, or sorry, just off the forward, more centrally, and he was thriving in that. Playing on the wing, specifically in this Hearts team, you need to have an engine about you. You need to be able to get about the pitch, and I just don't see that from him. I don't know what it is. And as I say, I am not being overly critical of Ben Woodburn because I like him, and
Of course not.
he's the sort of player. Is he Liverpool quality? Probably not, based off of what we're seeing. But he could go. The thing is, it's different leagues have different styles, don't they? He could go and play in the English Championship for a mid-table side and do very, very well.
Absolutely. I mean, at that same sort of part, mate, there's got to be a reason why Jurgen Klopp actually had him in the squad. Obviously, for one of the best sort of managers in the world. Mm-hmm. Like, if he sees something in him, I would kind of tend to like agree that there is something there. But on that same note, I do like totally like agree what you're saying in the sense that I can't really put my finger on it. What's wrong in the sense that he's not being a consistent performer. You know, he likes. I mean, not him personally, but it kind of tends to be a bit hot and cold in terms of his actual performances. But in that same sense, though, since we're only about 3 weeks away from the January transfer window, like coming through, are you saying in the sense that you would like to see somebody come in and send Woodburn back, or would you still like to have him as an option? Or in the grander scheme of things, would you feel as if from a financial aspect, it might be wise to send them back?
I think it'll depend how much we're paying him, but I would imagine it's a decent chunk of his salary anyway.
Yeah, because I'm thinking maybe like in the high sort of mid to thousands, like in maybe $4-5 grand.
Yeah, it could well be. And it might even be more than that.
Yeah.
Who knows? But I think, like I said it, my kind of 2 pence worth in the conversation earlier was it'll depend on how much we're paying him and also who's available in January. Because as much as he's maybe not quite getting it, he's still a decent player.
Yeah.
You know, he's not a bad player.
Not at all.
He's just not really settling into how things are. If there's not anyone in January that's available that's better or at least as good as him, I wouldn't send him back. But yeah, I could see it happening. Put it that way.
Yeah,
see it happening.
As an option.
They've already said. I mean, we're straying into a January conversation here. They've already said they're going to go and try and find another forward in January. So again, but we'll see. One person that thankfully for us hasn't been blowing hot and cold this season is Scotland's number one, Craig Gordon.
Mate, like that is, I am seriously considering, right? And it may be interesting to see what the fans who watch the podcast think. That, because I'm pretty sure Hearts put like a clip of the last of the 4 saves that he made in the space of 2 minutes. I'm pretty sure it was on Instagram, I think, where they put it in slow motion. Now, I've got a right mind to send that into with the Pornhub, because mate, the absolute fucking orgasmic save that like literally, it's just like a thin floating save. You just like
it's mad.
It's just like, you know, I mean, every single week, like because I watched, like, you know, Sports Scene like last night, like, as well, and even it's got to the point where they're saying, oh, let's talk about another Craig Gordon save. Let's talk about, like, it's 39. I still can't take it in. 39-year-old, and he moves like a gazelle. It's fucking beautiful to watch.
Oh, he's just unreal. He is. And it's funny because David Martindale said after the game, he said, you know, that Craig Gordon is worth probably, so far this season anyway, he's probably been worth about 9 to 12 points for us.
Oh,
in
easy.
terms of the saves that he's made. And I think he's absolutely right. You know, that incident happened after 25 minutes into the game. So this was even before Ben Woodburn had been taken off.
Yeah.
I don't know how. Well, I say I don't know how they didn't at least get one goal out of that, but it's because of Craig Gordon.
It's because of Craig Gordon, exactly.
It was an unbelievable, the shot that you're referring to. I think it was Holt that hit it. Jason Holt that used to play for us.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course.
He hits a shot, and what I think is amazing about it is when you see it from the angle behind the goal.
Yeah.
Gordon doesn't see that until quite late.
Yeah.
He's totally unsighted, and he still manages to get full length dive across the park, across the net, and tip it out. It was just ridiculous.
And like, it was just a passion on that man's. Like, it was almost like as if he scored a goal, which in retrospect he kind of did, in the sense that, like, you know, I mean, it was just so much passion in that man, and that's why I will forever love him. And I've said it plenty of times, and I'm gonna say it one more time. Craig Gordon, have my babies, please, honestly. So after 25 minutes on, as we just talked about, with the glorious 4 saves from Scotland's number 1, the rest of the first half wasn't that great as well. I'm going to be honest, I don't think we really got a foothold in the actual first half. I mean, once we brought the Woodburn off, like, of course, you don't like expect to make like a massive impact throughout the last 15 minutes of the first half. But again, yeah, I thought it was a bit scrappy. Like, you know, I mean, in retrospect, I thought it was kind of a game of 2 halves where, like, you know, Livingston tended to kind of dominate the first, and then we kind of came into our own into the second half. So take us through it, mate. What changed? What happened? How did we get our foot into the door at Tony Macaroni?
I think Peter Haring coming on made a huge difference.
That boy has made a serious statement. Benny, keep your ears peeled, mate. You know,
I'm telling you, Haring came in, and it was like, I think it almost like freed up McKenniff to do a bit more going forward, and Devlin, it kind of took the pressure off him a little bit.
Yeah,
it just put the balance back in the midfield again, and Livingston were pressing, but they couldn't keep that going for 90 minutes. They were never going to be able to. But Peter Haring just has this amazing calmness about him. And it's just like, give me the ball, and I'll like, people always say, oh, it's safe. He's a safe footballer. Yes, but sometimes you need that, though.
Absolutely. No, yeah.
That's what I like. I mean, I'm not going to ask Peter Haring to pick the ball up and lump a ball over the top and create something. He could probably do it, but he's just such a safe ball keeper. Absolutely. And I just love that. Like, that's what he brings to that midfield.
I would say that he kind of falls into that category where he is very intelligent, in the sense where he knows where he wants the ball to actually go. He knows, I mean, I think deep down, like, maybe like, from what we've talked about, that I think he knows he's not got a lot of mobility in him, but at the same time, you know, instead of trying to be good at the stuff that you're not necessarily amazing at, he plays to his strengths on the actual things that he is. So like, again, like, you know, like, it's a great, like, sort of option to actually have. And like I said, I think these last 2 games, I think he's actually played very well. And not long after the second half, top goal scorer fucking in, 11th goal of the season for Liam Boyce. Again, like, I mean, would you say it was like a very well worked move? Like, in the sense that, do you feel as if there was a bit of luck involved? Because I know that when the ball fell to Barry Mackay, I don't know if it was just luck or instinct in that sense, but that first touch just to find Boyce, and then just smack bang right into the goal. It was a great finish as well.
Yeah, I don't think there was any luck about it, to be honest.
Thank you. I was only testing your mind, sir. Only testing your mind.
I think as well, though, before the Barry Mackay touch, the ball from Suter to Barry Mackay. Oh, he just strives forward, and it's one of those, when I see John Suter carrying the ball forward, I think, something's going to happen here.
Yep, and I know exactly what's going to happen. He's not staying in fucking January.
Let's not cry about that. Let's enjoy him while he's here, because he might not be for much longer. But but the pass into Barry Mackay was pinpoint,
Mm.
absolutely brilliant. And like I said earlier, Barry Mackay is an incredibly intelligent football player.
Mm-hmm.
That touch was entirely intentional. He knows exactly where Liam Boyce is, and he flicks it around the corner to him. And Boyce is loving it. Boyce's eyes lit up as soon as that ball comes to him. His eyes lit up because he knew, right, I'm in on goal here. I'm having a shot. And
Definitely.
It wasn't actually the best of shots.
It wasn't, but it went into the back of the net. So that's all.
Exactly.
That's all you have to care about. And plus, as well, for all as much as he didn't start in the Celtic game as well, and he's not scored for a number of weeks, if I'm right in saying as well. So I guess that goal for him will mean quite a lot. So that was the breakthrough of the actual game itself. Hearts were 1-0 up after 50 minutes. From then onwards, there were a few chances. I'm pretty sure McInnes had a wee sort of chance as well, where it kind of, it was almost like the same equivalent to the Boyce chance as well, where it was on the same side, like, on the far right, and I don't know if he just tried to place it or if he just put too much on it. But at the same time, just talking about him, like, again, we've said it about, like, the players that don't make it to the first team squads. Like, he's such a good option to actually have. And because he's not in the same vein as your, like, sort of the Devlins, the Bennies, Harrings as well, where they don't tend to drive too much. He's just literally back and forth. And I think, if he starts to get more like sort of game time, I think the hype of the actual player that we thought we were going to actually get, I think there are sort of hints and the glimpses of the player that he actually is. Yeah,
definitely. We saw it in the championship, or sort of the tail end of the championship season when he was involved. He is a box-to-box midfielder. He will drive forward and he will get involved. Haring, as I said earlier on, came on and kind of unlocked him and made him sort of free to just go forward and help Boyce and help Mackay. And that made a huge difference. But the chance that you're referring to, I was willing him to score. I really wanted that to go in.
That was in though. Yeah, like,
I really wanted that to go in. I thought he was going to bury it, but we did get a lot more chances in the second half because Livingston started throwing players forward because they obviously needed to get back in the game. Livingston down at the bottom end of the table, they need all the points they can get.
Of course.
So they threw on loads of forwards. I don't even know how many they ended up on the park at the end of the game with, but I think literally every striker they had was on the pitch at the end.
Pretty much.
But yeah, we had chances. Barry Mackay had a ball in the net, but was offside.
Which was actually offside. Yeah, sorry.
It was. Yeah, we got that one right. It was nice to see him get one right.
Well done, the boys.
Yeah, it was. I felt so bad for Barry Mackay because he scores and it's actually quite a good finish. And he's about to celebrate, and then he sort of looks over and his little face. I was just like, oh, I was crying for him. I was like, I want him to get a goal. I can't believe he's not got one yet, but he's just been so solid for us.
Absolutely, man. But one particular chance as well, which was the chance that I was probably wanting more to go in because, like, and probably more from yourself as well, because I want him to do well. Big Nando, like, honestly, like, if there was ever a chance to score a goal and wrap up the actual game, and maybe from a certain perspective, he does deserve one because, again, he's not really had the best start to the season. Yeah, like, he's been involved, like, some chances, like, but like,
yeah,
what were you doing, Nando? Just fucking it was just frustrating as well because, again, I think that mainly lies where the frustration comes with Nando is that you and me, we want him to actually do well. Like,
Yeah, I'll say about Nando, I think some of the criticism that he's had, particularly from the Livingston game, to be fair, because he missed that chance that you're talking about. There was another one when the ball was lofted over to him, and his first touch was backwards.
It was terrible.
In
It
the
was
commentary,
terrible.
in the sports scene commentary, they said that Nanduli's defended himself, and I'm like,
Aye, which he has
true,
actually done, yeah.
But he got a ridiculous amount of criticism in that from his performance against Livingston, and I think it's incredibly unfair.
It is quite like unjust. It is.
I'm not going to deny that Nanduli is not a great forward. He's not brilliant. Like, he's not a goal scorer. He's not a finisher. He's not a poacher. He's not that kind of player, and he's never going to be that kind of player. But some of the abuse, and I'm saying abuse because that's what I saw on social medias about him after the game, was ridiculous. You know, he came on for 10 minutes and Boyce went off injured as well. Like, that got totally, glossed over. Like, he came on because Boyce got injured. And Robert Borthwick said it in the commentary. Ideally, you want to bring Nanduli on, and we said this as well. Ideally, you want to bring Nanduli on next to Boyce. Or with Boyce. When you bring Nanduli on in place of Boyce, we've already seen that it doesn't work.
No.
But yeah, I think some of the abuse that Nanduli got was ridiculous. To be honest, it was a cameo at the end of a game. If he scores that goal, everybody's celebrating. I'm frustrated for Nanduli.
Yeah,
because you can see that he wants to make an impact. You can see that he's trying. He's not stomping around the park, not getting involved. We've had much worse forwards than Nanduli at Hearts, and I think that is something that people tend to forget.
Precisely.
We've not done very well with strikers, and they can't all be Liam Boyce. Let's say that much.
Absolutely, man. And like you said as well, you can maybe argue at the fact that maybe he's not had the best time at Hearts thus far because possibly he's not had enough game time, where the Boyce, of course, Flag has been absolutely fantastic. And like you said as well, he works in a particular sort of way, in the sense, like you just mentioned there, where he tends to work better when he's with the Boyce on the actual part, because I think maybe not to the extent as much, but there tends to be a small understanding, with them both, in the sense where, if a long ball comes up, to the goal, Nando tends to be that person to actually try and get it on to Boyce. And we have seen that a few times, throughout the season. But like you said, I think the so-called abuse, I've not actually seen it, but if that is the actual case, come on, it's 10 fucking minutes. What? I get it. If it's 0-0 and you've got to make some sort of impact, right? Okay, that can be kind of argued, but we're in front, and if you're gonna throw abuse at him, mate, just hammer it down.
Yeah, it's like I said, we've had players that are far worse at Hearts than Nanduli. Ben Woodburn had an absolutely horrendous half an hour.
There you go.
Average at best, and I barely saw anything leveled at him for it. So look, it is what it is, and that's a whole different debate to go down. But in the end, thankfully, the miss didn't mean anything. One thing that I'll mention before we move on was the Livingston goal that absolutely should have stood, by the way. From Anderson, the offside that was never offside.
No,
he was level with John Souttar. But I can understand why Livingston were raging about it. At the same time, though, and they mentioned this on Sports Scene, and I had it in my notes as well. They didn't score.
They didn't.
John Souttar gets back and makes an absolutely ridiculous tackle.
Yeah, so I don't understand. I mean, I can understand what Martindale was complaining about, but at the same time, if he had a clear cut chance on goal, absolutely, you can rant and rave, actually won. But in the end, it was actually a really good sliding tackle. So I don't,
So
it's one of those,
and I think as you say, if the ball had ended up in the back of the net and the linesman had flagged it offside, then by all means the linesman's done them out of getting a point. But John Souttar was running back. That's a Scotland international defender. We've got Scotland's number one goalkeeper in goal as well. There's no guarantee he was going to score. So, but it's maybe a little bit of karma and maybe a little bit of the luck swinging back in our favour after that horrendous one at Parkhead.
Possibly, mate, possibly. Well, in that same sense, like to wrap things off on that game, like, it's the kind of performances, and this game was kind of a good example of that, and it kind of reminded me a lot of Rangers last year, where in the sense, like, there were games where maybe coming up to the halfway point and they're going away to these like sort of teams where, yeah, they didn't have the best sort of day in terms of performances, but as long as you grind out that result, and if that's the kind of sort of things that are going to actually be for future like away games, then as long as we grind out a result, I'll be absolutely fine with that. Because again, just to mention it, first away win since August, Alan. Like, that's like 4 months. No, 5 months. No. Hi, wait. August, September, October, November. 5 months, mate.
The thing is, as well, though, and this is another interesting point. That surface that they play on,
it's pish.
A lot of our players won't have played on that before. When you think about it, because we've got Cammy Devlin, who's new. We've got Barry Mackay, who's new. We have Taylor Moore, who's new this season as well. I don't even know if Liam Boyce play on it before. He probably has done it at some point.
Maybe. By the way,
I don't think, but to go there, awkward pitch that they play on every week, that obviously we don't play on every week.
No.
It's an important win to get. It wasn't exciting. It wasn't fantastic. It wasn't stylish, but it's a win. And it keeps us in third. And that's the most important thing.
Absolutely. Which puts us, I believe, 5 points ahead of Dundee United. And we've hit the big 3-0, where we now sit 9 points behind Rangers and 6 points, I believe, against Celtic. I don't know why my voice is so high when I'm saying that, but yeah, I think it's 6 points. But
I'm just gonna double check and
just
to be on the same
side. Just so we're not ranting on more shite than we already do, Alan.
So we're 9 points behind Rangers, 5 points behind Celtic.
Close enough.
They've played a game less. So.
Yeah. So maybe 8, like sort of by the time next week comes. So yes, that kind of wraps up our reviews for this section of the podcast. Just to recap, it ended in a 1-0 defeat to Celtic away, of course, and ended in a 1-0 victory away to the Tony Macaroni Stadium against Livingston. 3 points out of 6, of course. Now, we move on to arguably the last sort of big tie this year, where Rangers will face Hearts at Tynecastle this Sunday at 12 o'clock kickoff. It's an interesting one, Alan. It's an interesting one. I before we talk about how we feel about the actual game itself, I don't know why I'm kind of feeling more confident rather than being a bit wary of Rangers to come into Tiny. I don't know if that's just like, this will only be the third game that the Broncos will be in charge for, or just based off the result that we just had yesterday as well. There's just something about it that I feel like we might actually have a decent chance to actually win.
Possibly.
I thought saying possibly. Get off that bit. Honestly,
no, it is going to be an interesting game. It is going to be an interesting game, but I think it's going to depend on. We have to, obviously we're at home. It's great. We should be on the front foot. We should be having a goal. We should be trying. But yeah, like we have to remember as well, they are still Rangers and they are still champions. You know,
I have
we
no
can't.
idea. Sorry, Alan. I have no idea why, but like, you know, with, like you said, with Rangers being the champions, I love like as well. I don't know why. My head just like went back to the Hearts open day, and I could just picture just Andy Halliday just pushing Scott Wilson out of the way and playing the sash. just working them all like
Don't even.
Go boys.
Don't even. I've not even spoken about that. But
sorry, please. I'm a bad person. I'm sorry.
No. But look, it's as I said, it's going to be interesting. I think Rangers now under Van Bronckhorst, they're still kind of getting there. They're still getting used to how he's wanting them to play.
Yeah.
But I watched them against Hibs not a couple of weeks ago. That was on was that Wednesday?
Well, they played them like not too far apart, both in the League Cups and on Wednesday just past there, I believe. So it was the road down.
Yeah, it was the league game.
Yeah.
And I wasn't overly impressed with them, to be honest. But I wasn't overly impressed with Hibs either, but I never am, so that's irrelevant.
Yeah.
One thing I will say though, they played Dundee at Ibrox, absolutely battered them. That was obviously their last game there. So they'll be coming to Tynecastle on a high, confident. I think Morelos seems to have a little bit of hunger back in him again. A little bit. He's looking a bit more in the mood than he has done.
Are
previously.
You talking about hunger for the game, or are you actually talking about hunger, like in that sense?
Probably a bit of both. I think that the thing is though, against Hibs in the league, they shut Morelos down. They kept him really quiet. And I think if we want to have any chance of getting something, albeit we're at home, that's going to be a big thing. You know, they are a team that are capable of scoring goals. We've seen that. Thankfully, we've got an unbelievable goalkeeper because I think Craig Gordon might be quite busy again.
Possibly, quite possibly.
But I mean, I'm confident in a sense that we're at home. Yeah. And when we're playing at home, we look good this season. We're still unbeaten at home. So there's that record to try and keep. It's interesting. Like I've looked it up earlier, and Rangers, they score a decent amount of goals, as we all know, as I've just said. We're good defensively, but so are they. I'm not going to go through all the stats and all the facts and figures because you could go on social medias and find them yourselves.
Oh yeah.
But Rangers I think it's, let me see now. So there was 5 games, I think, where they've scored more than 3 goals this season.
Right. Okay.
So, you know, we're going to need to be on our game, put it that way. And I think, like I said this as well, if we defend as well as we can, and as we have done, and as well as we did at Parkhead, dare I say it, if we defend with that kind of style and that kind of structure, and we're solid, I do give us a chance. I do. I think
absolutely.
Do you bring Benny back if he's fit? I don't know, because I've been really impressed with Peter Haring. I think Haring was very unfortunate not to start against Livingston.
Yeah.
Considering how well he played against Celtic. I would be inclined to go with Devlin and Haring in the middle again.
Yeah, I won't have any complaints about that, man.
It'll be interesting to see if he goes with a back 3 or a back 4, because we know that the 3-4-3 system works at Tynecastle.
Yeah, like I wouldn't, like me personally, I probably wouldn't change it. Like, you know, not for any team. Like, regardless if it is a Celtic or Rangers, like you know, we mentioned it. Like again, I don't think we need to change our style of to play for when we face teams, especially at home as well. So,
no, I think it'll depend on, because Robbie might well look at the Rangers team and think, right, they've got good players in forward areas. It'll be interesting, as I say, to see what system he goes with. I hope that he goes 3-4-3, but if he went to a back 4, I wouldn't really complain.
Fair enough.
Because I think the reason he went to a back 4 at Parkhead was to combat the Celtic wide players.
Right.
And because we've seen us before getting pressed back and ending up with a flat back 5 in games, albeit those have happened away from home. But you might think, okay, let's be a bit more defensively secure
Mhm.
in a 4. But we'll see. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. As long as we go out and have a go, get in their faces, wind them up, and annoy their 1,000 fans that'll be in attendance, I'll take that every day of the week. I want us to win. I want us to win. Do I think we will? Debatable. I'm going to sit on the fence. I'm going to sit on the fence again. I'm going to sit on the fence again. If you're wanting my prediction, and we'll just roll straight into that. Prediction from me, 1-1.
Mate,
I'll go 1-1.
It is only 3 weeks away from Christmas, mate, and I'm literally going to buy you an actual fence, like for your seat. Like, I mean, I'm going to actually buy you one. I'm going to kind of stick with my guns. I think in this moment, I think we've got a good chance to actually win, and again, with the advantage of the being at home as well, with the small, very small support that Rangers will have. I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to Hearts. I think it'll probably be in the same vein as the Celtic game. I won't lie, I think Rangers will probably have a lot more chances than us, but I feel as if we'll probably have enough in the locker to kind of break through that. And like you said as well, I don't think Van Bronckhorst really knows his best team from his point of view yet, and I don't think he's really got that down to a T yet. So yeah, I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory for Hearts. So and just on that note, like as well, from the 2 games we just played, out of a possible 6 points, we both came away with 1. I'm proud of that, Alan. Fucking 1 point. Like, it could have been worse. Like, it could have been no points, but we both came away with a point. So I'm fucking happy as Larry about that. Pathetic.
Tell me about it.
Fucking foaming at the mouth over a point out of 6. Like, come on, man. This is getting ridiculous.
Hang on, wait a minute. So, because I'm sure for the Celtic game, we both said. I'm sure the Celtic game, we both said we weren't going to win. Or did you say it would be a draw?
No, I said we weren't going to win. Because I said it was. You said it was going to be a 3-1 win. I said it was going to be a 3-2 win to Celtic.
Right. Okay, so we both went for a win in that. We both went for a loss. So we got a point out of that, no? Because we lost.
Hold the fucking phone. Let me look back to my fucking notes.
Surely we got a point for that. And then we both predicted we'd beat Livingston, so we got a point for that as well. So it's 2 points each. So we're still distinctly average, but we're slightly less distinctly average at predictions than we thought we were.
But if I'm right in saying we're now on double figures, fucking get in. Fucking get in. Oh, man.
Oh, mate.
Utter shite. Why did we start this? Like,
I have no idea. Let's just call it there. It's a draw.
Carry it on.
Neither one of us has to do a forfeit that way. It's a draw. We'll just spin it.
Yes. On that note as well, we would love to hear what your score predictions for the Rangers game will be. We'll probably put something out on Twitter. Twitter. Once this goes live, which will be on the Tuesday evening at 6 o'clock. So, of course, we'll put out a few things leading up to the game as the week goes on. So, on that very same note, it's probably time to wrap up this week's episode of the Since I Was Young podcast. As always, guys, thank you very much for watching. It is always greatly appreciated, guys. And once again, if you are a fan of the Since I Was Young podcast for all things Heart of Midlothian news chats and reviews, please think about subscribing and also as well smash that like button because it helps us out a lot as well. And if you want to get in contact with us through our socials as well, you can. We're all at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all at SIWI Pod, all alternatively as well. If you want to get in contact with us through our email as well, since I was young 1874 at gmail.com. And finally, if you want to get in contact with either myself or Alan through our Twitter page as well, you are most certainly welcome to with our links. They will be in the description. So, Alan, as always, mate, thank you very much for joining me on this cold winter's night, and we'll look forward to see what this massive game brings at the end of this week.
Yeah, no trouble at all. It was always nice to talk about the Hearts, and like we say, hopefully one of us will be right in our prediction for the Rangers game. Hopefully.
And let's hope it's me. So on that note, we shall catch you guys next week. You take care now. Bye for now.